Thanks to Lexar for sponsoring this video. Whether you're capturing photos, videos, or transferring files on the go, you'll find the perfect solution from Lexar's award-winning memory cards, readers, DRAM, and solid-state drives. What's good? Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Bits for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. You know that the first batch of Apple Watch Series 6 and SE, they are arriving for people right now, but if you aren't getting yours until later, like me, I just want to let you all know we're together in this. It's okay. I'm just gonna wait patiently for another week or so, and I won't be constantly checking my phone for updates. I'll just be really patient until mine arrives. It's only been a few days since they were announced, but Apple didn't give us all the details about the new Series 6 and SE, so this video is about all the things from the Apple event that they didn't tell us about: the Apple Watches, iPad Air 4, and more. Apple now, they did make sure to tell you that you are not getting a power adapter with the Apple Watch anymore, so this is just to get us all mentally prepared when it happens with the iPhone, but I just can't wait to see how the general public is going to react to that. Yikes. But they didn't tell us that the Series 6 and SE would be the first Apple Watches that would no longer include Force Touch. In fact, watchOS 7 now completely removes the Force Touch feature from every Apple Watch from the Series 5 and before it with its latest software update. And we had heard this might happen, but now it's official without any explanation from Apple as to why. It's just kind of like, poof, we're not doing it no more. Now, a side note to this, watchOS 7 seems to be chewing up battery life for some Apple Watch Series 4 users. I'm going to really try to pay more attention to my experience, but I'll keep you posted about that. Now, I hated it when they got rid of 3D Touch on the iPhone, but eliminating it on the Apple Watch, that's even worse for me, because Force Touch, it was really a key aspect of the Apple Watch, especially since its screen is so much smaller and a single press made it easier to use and navigate. Now, I know that not everyone uses Force Touch. Some of you don't even know that it was on the Apple Watch, but you should have, and I don't think I'm the only one who isn't happy about this. Now, right now, a long press, it still works the same as Force Touch for this one thing on the Apple Watch. If you want to change your watch face, it will let you jump into that edit mode like you'd expect. But everywhere else that you could have used it, instead of Force Touch now, it doesn't work at all. Don't even try it. Like, a long press is pretty much a non-existent aspect of this OS. Now, before, if I was in the Messages app and I wanted to send a new message to someone, I would just Force Touch to create a new one. Now you got to kind of scroll all the way to the top. If I wanted to clear all the notifications, I did with the Force Touch. Now I have to scroll all the way to the top to do it. You could also change your move goals and see your weekly activity summary with Force Touch if you were in the activity app, but now you have to scroll all the way to the bottom. I could change between the app grid view or list view with the Force Touch, but now I have to go into the settings and then select the default style I want to use. I don't have a quick option anymore, and those are just a few examples because it happens everywhere that there used to be Force Touch, and that's just frustrating for longtime Apple Watch users because they could have, at the very least, replaced it with a long press, but instead they just changed how to access features it used to completely. Now, Apple, they didn't give us a reason. They probably won't, and you know what that is? That's a bad Apple! Boo! And yeah, it's a first world problem, bad Apple, but it's still a bad Apple because this is the true death of 3D Touch or Force Touch for any Apple product now. This was their innovative UI. I loved it. It was a differentiating feature for them. And Apple just couldn't get most people to understand it because of how invisible it was, which is kind of the beauty of it. All right, other things Apple didn't tell us about the new Apple Watch. How about those badass solo loops? Now, I don't know how badass they are yet, but people have been receiving them. They're just raving about how they feel, and they honestly got the biggest reaction from me during the keynote when they were announced, but you have to go through a little process to actually make sure you get the right one that fits you. Now, when you order an Apple Watch or a solo loop, you'll be asked to use a household item or print out a guide from Apple. The guide's easier to use for me if you still have this thing called a printer and paper. Now, I went back to my arts and crafts like roots to make this measuring tool, and then once you cut it out, you can wrap it around your wrist to find the best measurements from sizes 1 through 12. The 40mm watch face fits sizes 1 through 9, and the 44mm watch face fits sizes 4 through 12. And there are solo loops for each size that give you a real custom fit. So then you select the size that is yours. In case you're wondering, I'm a size 6 thick for an Apple solo loop. The only drawback I see is since you won't be able to lay these down flat, the idea of using it with any future type of charging pads, those are out the window. But at the same time, Apple doesn't have one anyways. RIP AirPower. Now, another Apple Watch related feature, Apple's family setup. This is still one of those game-changing moves behind the scenes for them that lets a single phone set up multiple Apple Watches. They made it clear that in order to use family setup, each watch attached will have to be the cellular version with an active plan. But there's another feature that they didn't talk about, Apple Cash Family. Now, this lets a semi-responsible adult load money onto their family member's Apple Watch so they can use it to buy items wherever Apple Pay is accepted. And that adult can get notifications when someone buys something and also see their child purchases in the wallet app of their own iPhone. Now, oversight can be shared by two semi-responsible adults, and access to Apple Cash can also be restricted. I think it's a cool feature, but this is really targeting these Apple 1 and 2% families. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice option to have, especially if you need the Apple Watch and gotta have it as your first world wallet. But I'd really be curious to see how many families are going to get on board with this. Now, Apple One, the subscription plan service, can also be shared amongst family members depending on the plan that you get. And when I first look at the plans as an individual user, they made sense if you're already invested in these services, but not everyone is. I mean, I'm not. I don't even use Apple Music, so the bundle isn't really for me. But looking at it again, the family plan at $19.95 is going to really need more than just 200 gigs of storage for iCloud. You're really going to think you can share, what, 200 gigs with 5 people or 4 people when an entry-level iPhone SE starts at 64 gigs, and then that thing just fills up fast once you start adding some photos. You know, I know this is a first offering, but I think they can do better with storage, especially with the amount other services offer. And then why don't they start giving users more flexibility to kind of customize the plan their way? Eventually, I hope that happens, but for people that have 2 Apple IDs that are split between their iCloud services and then another for purchases and subscriptions, Apple has confirmed that the Apple One service will support users who have multiple IDs split up like this. And, you know, it's a smart move, so you can give them more of your money. And let's not forget about the iPad Air 4 and its all-new A14 processor. This is the first ever in an Apple product, which typically sees the new processor in an iPhone first, and then different versions of products in the iPad later. But that time is kind of all out of whack because of the factory shutdowns. Now, some of us, including myself, might have jumped to the conclusion that the A14 is faster than the recent iPad Pro's A12Z processor because Apple didn't even update the Pros alongside of the new Air. But you can all relax a little. There are no benchmarks out right now, but just by taking some of the information from Apple and piecing it together, Reddit user Weedlewaddle pulled up the latest Geekbench 5 results and found that the previous iPad Air had a Geekbench score of roughly 2,800, while the 2020 iPad Pro had a score of about 4,700. And that makes the current iPad Pro 68% more powerful. During the keynote, Apple claimed the new 2020 iPad Air with the A14 chip is 40% more powerful than the previous iPad Air. So you can do the math, and the iPad Pro still gives you better performance than the new A14. Now, the A14 has 6 CPU cores, while the A12Z has 8 CPU cores. The A14 will likely have better single core performance, but the 2 extra cores in the A12Z make up for it to give it a higher multi-core performance score overall. And we know that this is still just an approximation because Apple doesn't use Geekbench benchmarks, but it at least gives us a little peace of mind, or a whole lot in my case, that the 2020 iPad Pros still bring more performance than the iPad Air 4. So those are just some of the nuggets of important things that Apple didn't tell us about the new Apple Watches, the iPad Air 4, and the Apple One service. All right, thanks again to Lexar for sponsoring this video. Check out their new Lexar SL200 portable SSD for people who are serious about photography and photo. This USB-C SSD is designed for performance on the go. That's super compact and fits in the palm of my hands. It delivers read speeds up to 550 megabytes per second and write speeds up to 400 megabytes for a snappy workflow. Storage options include 512 gigs, 1 terabyte, and the 2 terabyte beast is launching very soon. It's compact and can fit in any pocket and has no moving parts like a traditional hard drive, so it's just a lot more durable and made for creators on the go. I use it for backing up photos or videos. You can also use it to transfer files on the go, and you can even edit content off of it. I also honestly like this finish that matches my MacBook Pro because, you know, matchy matters. Now, you'll find the perfect solution from Lexar's award-winning lineup of memory cards, readers, DRAM, and solid-state drives. Get the performance and reliability you need as a creator by visiting Lexar.com. Lexar, live for the memory. All right, that's going to do it for this video. If you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell. Ding! to get all my videos when they drop. And if you want to go even deeper with Apple, check out my Apple Bits XL audio podcast, where we just cover the latest stories and bring on special guests. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and be safe, everybody. And we will see you all next time. Peace and love.